All right, welcome to the Clearview Township Committee of Adjustment meeting in October 9th at 3 p.m. I want to call the meeting to order. I'm going to start with a Indigenous land acknowledgement. I'd like to begin our meeting by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples of Canada as traditional stewards and caretakers of the land. We acknowledge that Clearview Township is located within the boundaries of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Teonatani, Wendat, and is the home of many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, as part of an intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. At this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understandings and new relationships and ask for guidance in all we do. We'll start with last meeting, August. Is there any business arising from said minutes? Seeing none, can we have a motion to accept the last minutes? All in favor? Carried. Does any committee members have any pecuniary interest in the files we are about to look at today? Seeing none? Excellent. The Committee of Adjustment today will consider 2 minor variances and 2 consent files scheduled under public hearings. The Planning Act requires that a public hearing be held before the Committee of Adjustment decides whether or not to pass a consent or a minor variance. The public hearing serves 2 purposes. First, to present to the Committee of Adjustment and the public the details and background of the application. And second, to receive comments from the public and agencies before a decision is made. For each application, the Secretary Treasurer will summarize the proposal and correspondence on file. Planning Division staff will provide any other information that is relevant to the application. From there, the applicant will be provided the opportunity to make a presentation, followed by questions or presentations from the public, either in favor or against the proposal. Committee members will then have an opportunity to question the applicant, the Secretary Treasurer, the planner, or anyone giving presentations. The application will then be considered by the committee. Over to you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. Notice for these consent and variance applications were posted on the subject properties on or before September 24th, 2024, being at least 14 days prior to the hearing. Notice for these applications were also sent by mail to the assessed owners within 60 meters of the subject properties. Notice was also circulated for the applications to those persons, departments, and agencies likely to have an interest in the applications as legislated. Included with each notice was a legal description of the subject property and a description of the purpose of the proposed consent or variance. The circulations were provided in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, Chapter P13.
All right. First file to be seen and reviewed today is consent file 24-B07. Ms. Kennedy, will you read off what we have on file currently?
Thank you, Chair. Consent file 24-B07 concerns land municipally known as 1665 and 1583 Concession 10. The purpose of the application is to sever a portion of land from 1665 Concession 10 South Nottawasaga to be added to 1583 Concession 10 South Nottawasaga. The proposed severed parcel is approximately 65 meters of frontage and approximately 3 hectares of area with a decommissioned barn. The retained lot is approximately 235 meters of frontage and approximately 36 hectares of vacant land. The effect of the application is to facilitate a boundary adjustment, which will result in 1583 Concession 10 South Nottawasaga having a new lot frontage of approximately 365 meters and lot area of approximately 22 hectares, which is 54.4 acres. Circulation of the application was mailed on September 24th, 2024 to the applicant, appropriate agencies, and property owners within 60 meters. Comments were received from the Township of Clearview Public Works Department and Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority having no concern or objection to the application. The staff recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approves consent application 24-B07, subject to the following conditions. One, that the owner meet all the requirements, financial and otherwise, of the municipality. Two, that the applicant provides a description of the land which may be registered under the requirements of the Registry Act or Land Titles Act as applicable. Three, that any mortgage on the property be discharged from any lands being severed from 1665 concession 10 South, and the solicitor provide an undertaking in writing that this condition will be fulfilled. Four, that the property be severed, frontage of 65-meter and total area of 3 hectare from 1665 concession 10 South is conveyed into the same name as the owner of abutting land and legally merged with the lands to the north, known as 1583 concession 10 South, and being assessed as roll number 4329-010-00820000 to the satisfaction of the township.
Thank you very much. Planning staff, do you have anything to add to what is currently in front of us?
Thank you, Chair. I don't, other than I think we were called last time, we had to defer this application because we hadn't heard from the Niagara Escarpment. And I'll just note that that is the biggest change to this report, is that the Niagara Escarpment have actually issued their development permit, and therefore that is why we brought the file to be heard by the committee. And other than that, I don't have any other comments. Thank you.
That is wonderful news. Do we have a representative for this file here today? Come on up. Yeah. Otherwise, no one can hear you.
Yep.
I have one. Does your client understand all the conditions? Perfect. Any other questions for the representative of this file? None? All right. Do we have a motion to accept it as it is? All in favor of said motion as written? Carried. Thank you very much. I'm happy the NEC got back to us finally. Well, I would not say anything disparaging against any other municipal organizations, but I'm quite happy you got it. Next, minor variance 24-A116. Miss Kennedy, would you kindly summarize the file for us?
Thank you, Chair. Minor variance file 24-A16 concerns lands municipally known as 1069 County Road 124. The purpose of the application is to request approval of the Committee of Adjustment for relief from the Recreation Lands REC zone minimum interior side yard requirement of 15 meters to 6.1 meters on the southern interior side yard and to 12.2 meters on the western interior side yard. The total variance being requested is 8.9 meters and 2.8 meters. The effect of the application is to allow construction of a detached recreation facility to be used for the recreational activities on site. Circulation of the application was mailed on September 24th, 2024 to the applicant, appropriate agencies, and property owners within 60 meters. Comments were received from the Township of Clearview Public Works Department and are outlined in the planning recommendation report. Comments were received from NVCA after the staff recommendation report was published. NVCA has no objection to the proposal. The staff recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approves minor variance application 24-A16 on the basis that it meets the 4 tests in accordance with the Planning Act.
Thank you, Miss Kennedy. Does the planning staff have anything to add to this file?
Thank you, Chair. No, I don't, but I'm here for any questions should you have any.
All right. Do we have a representative for this file in the audience? Do you have anything to add to what's not currently in front of us? Nope. All right. Is there any questions from the committee members Oh, over to you, Rosalind.
Thank you through the chair. So just because that is the permitted use under this zone and in the definition of what this recreational facility, it does permit storage, it permits the use for accessory skating and so on. So it's maybe not what you would typically call a storage building, but under the zoning bylaw, because it has to adapt to many different types of lands and different types of buildings. That's what we're calling it in this particular case. Thank you.
That answers your question? Much better than I would have. Just saying. All right, so we have a motion. All in favor of said motion as written? Oh, got a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, Rosalind, you can hopefully answer this through the chair, that is there, the fees, I'm sure they've paid fees like everybody else. Do we have any power to waive set fees, being this is a community venture?
Through to the chair. I guess my question maybe back would be in what sense, what kind of fees? The Planning Act application fees are typically to to sort of cost recover staff time. And then of course that would be the same for the building and for the for any other sort of fee. However, I guess I could look or ask the treasurer to look at when they go to apply for their development, like for their development charges. There may be, but you've kind of caught me off guard. So we can certainly look into it, I guess, the short answer.
Yeah, no, that, I think, if you could do that, that'd be great. So I think we should try to help these folks out because they're definitely putting this towards a good cause. That's my thought.
Any other questions from the committee members on this file? None. We have a motion to accept it as written. All in favor? Carried. There is a 20-day appeal period, at which time Miss Kennedy will become your best friend to carry everything through this to the file to see the end. But I thank you for all coming out. Next file on our agenda, consent file 24-B08. Miss Kennedy, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Consent file 24-B08 concerns lands municipally known as 102 Bateau Road and 73853637 Side Road. The purpose of the application is to sever a portion of land from 102 Bateau Road to be added to the abutting property at 73853637 Side Road, Nottawasaga. The proposed severed parcel is approximately 0.19 hectares. The retained lot is approximately 167.8 meters of frontage and approximately 3.8 hectares of area. The effect of the application is to facilitate a boundary adjustment, which will result in 73853637 Side Road, Nottawasaga, having a new lot area of approximately 0.56 hectares. Circulation of the application was mailed on September 24th, 2024 to the applicant, appropriate agencies, and property owners within 60 meters. Comments were received from the Township of Clearview Public Works Department and Hydro One, having no concern or objection to the application. Comments were received from NVCA after the staff recommendation report was published. NVCA has no objection to the proposal. The staff recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approves consent application 24-B08, subject to the following conditions. One, that the owner meet all the requirements, financial and otherwise, of the municipality, including servicing bylaw charges. Number two, that the applicant provides a description of the land which may be registered under the requirements of the Registry Act or Land Titles Act as applicable. Three, that any mortgage on the property be discharged from any lands being severed from 102 Bateau Road and the solicitor provide an undertaking in writing that this condition will be fulfilled. 4, that the parcel of land to be severed, 0.19 hectares from 102 Bateau Road, is conveyed into the same name as the owner of abutting land to the north, 73853637 Nottawasaga Side Road, and being assessed as roll number 43290100703210 to the satisfaction of the township. 5, that the applicant successfully clear all conditions and receive a certificate of consent for consent 24-BO2 to the satisfaction of the municipality.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Does the planning staff have anything to add on this file?
Thank you, Chair. Nothing particular to add, but I'm here to answer any questions that may come up.
Excellent. I'm going to assume that we have no one present to represent this file.
It appears that, yeah, no one has attended, unfortunately.
Our online representation is for our next file. All right, good. Does anyone have any objection to making a motion as written? No? All in favor of said motion? Carried. There is a 20-day period if anyone's listening online. Last file on our agenda today, minor variance 24-A17. Ms. Kennedy, would you kindly summarize the file for us?
Thank you, Chair. Minor variance file 24-A17 concerns lands municipally known as 100 Grand Trunk Road. The purpose of the application is to request the approval of the Committee of Adjustment for relief from 1, the large format commercial exception 3, C4-3 zone, minimum exterior side yard requirements of 9 meters to 5 meters for the portion of building 1 that has the Dollarama store. The total variance being requested is 4 meters. 2, section 2.15.5, which states that loading spaces must be located to the rear of the front wall of the main building. The variance is to allow the location of the loading space to be in the front yard of that portion of building 1 that has the Dollarama. 3, the variance will recognize a maximum number of parking spaces to be 250 for the phase 1 of the shopping center. The effect of the application is to allow development of a portion of building 1 located in phase 1 of the shopping center on subject property. Circulation of the application was mailed on September 24th, 2024 to the applicant, appropriate agencies, and property owners within 60 meters. Comments were received from the Township of Clearview Public Works Department and are outlined in the planning recommendation report. The staff recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approves minor variance application 24-A17 on the basis that it meets the 4 tests in accordance with the Planning Act, subject to the following conditions. 1, that they're pursuant to Section 41 of the Planning Act and Township Bylaw 24-64, the owner be required to obtain an amendment to the existing site plan approval to facilitate the proposed development, including but limited to the following amendments. A, that a revised site plan be submitted as part of the required site plan amendment application showing removal of the asphalt bump out adjacent to the east facade of building 1, Dollarama, and be replaced with landscaping to the satisfaction of the Township of Clearview. And B, that a revised landscaping plan be submitted as part of the required site plan amendment application showing adequate screening of the proposed loading space in order to demonstrate zoning conformity 06-54, section 2.13 to the satisfaction of the Township of Clearview.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Does the planning staff have anything to add to this file?
Thank you, Chair. No, but I'm here for any questions.
All right, and we do have a representative online for this file. That is a
Hi.
tiny little window, sir, that you are in on that big TV screen. Can you
Sorry.
hear?
I can hear you.
Perfect,
good
I
evening.
can hear you. Do you have anything to add to this file that we don't normally already have?
No, nothing further to add.
All right, then.
Thank you.
Are there any questions from the members to said representative or the planning staff? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we can answer, how come this wasn't Oh, how come this change came? Like, I know the building's already in progress. How come this change came and why should we consider the changes? I'm not sure who
So-
wants to answer.
I can answer if you'd
Uh,
like.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Just to address your question, there is an incoming Dollarama tenant. So the building footprint of building one had to be modified to address the tenant's request. And with those modifications came the exterior side yard encroachment, as well as the requirement for a loading space in the front yard. And because of that loading space, we had to remove some parking, which made us fall 11 spaces short of the bylaw. So just to confirm, it was for the incoming tenant.
And the front unloading kind of concerns me too. So does that mean like they're gonna be blocking the pathway in front of to do the offloading, or am I misreading this?
I
Go
can
ahead.
answer that as well. So the parking spaces that were removed were, I guess, beside the loading space. So we've taken out those parking spaces so the loading can go in and out, I guess, without any sort of obstruction. And then we understand that staff has requested a condition for that asphalt area where there was previously parking to put as landscaped area as well as the screening area, which we are acceptable to.
Did you want to add to that, Rosalind? Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, and through to the member. So just to be clear, the loading space is located to the east of the building, and that's where all the unloading will happen. If you can see, it's a bit hard to see, but there's like a little truck that's drawn onto so the idea is, I think, that the loading and receiving is in that bump out area. And that was why, with the request of the tenant to need a loading space because of all their merchandise, the additional area for that building was also requested. So that just gives them a little bit more space for storage, for unloading, and then it means that most of their retail can happen in the approved footprint that was originally approved. So typically, minor variances are actually considered in this sort of a situation where we've already had an approved site plan and where we're trying not to delay the development as any longer than it has to. So it's not unusual to sometimes have some hiccups with some of the original plans and to have to consider some of the proposed changes.
Yeah, and I guess especially if the tenant came on after the initial designs, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for anybody? None? Is there anyone who wishes to make a motion as read? All in favor of said motion? Carried. Sir, there is a 20-day appeal period, after which the secretary, Ms. Kennedy here, will be your best friend to see this through to completion.
Perfect. Thank you, committee, and thank you, Roslyn. Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you for your attendance in this matter. That brings an end to the public portion of our meeting today. Our next item on the agenda is new business. Ms. Secretary, do we have any?
We don't have any new business, Chair.
And we have a tentatively scheduled meeting for the 13th of November?
Tentatively, yes. But
Excellent.
no, I don't believe we have any applications currently. No, we do not have a meeting then, do we?
So if we do
Yes.
not have any files as
No.
of today, then we won't have a November meeting?
Correct, through the chair. Yes, I believe we did receive one, but we haven't received any payment, and therefore it means that the application isn't actually technically completed. So we will not be having a November meeting.
So we're not having a meeting in November,
We'll have a meeting in December.
December. I like that.
Correct.
That's quite the year. We've had 2 months off this year then. It's quite the change from the previous years.
Mhm.
I
Careful
must
what
say.
you wish for though. You know, you may end up having a really hard time in December, so.
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn said meeting if there are no further questions, no new business, and we're not having a meeting next month? All in favor? Carried. We adjourn 25 minutes into the meeting. Well done, everyone.